words of my mouth and the meditation of our hearts be always acceptable in your sight, O Lord, our strength and our Redeemer. Amen. Well, good morning.
Good morning.
I am Joshua Varner, and I serve as the canon for Congregational Vitality for the Diocese of Georgia, which is a long title, but nonetheless. I live in Savannah, and I get to travel to different congregations on a pretty regular basis. And so I am delighted to be here today with you for this service, and then I'll also be back for the 3 p.m. service this afternoon. So thank you all for your welcome. So all things, it turns out, whether we like it or not, are passing away. And yet, while we acknowledge this truth, we also know that God's love for us will never fail, and that we are held in the heart of God now and always. So, today's gospel reading is not, in case you were wondering, on the top 10 list of Luke's most popular gospel choices. This is not the story of the Good Samaritan, or the prodigal son, or the road to Emmaus, which are probably Luke's top 3. No, this is one of those ominous readings that leaves us uncertain about what, if anything, we are supposed to learn or do. I think part of this is because Jesus, in this story, is actually really more focused on trying to help his disciples unlearn some thoughts that have entered into their heads over the years. Right at the start of the story, we hear that some, we don't know exactly who, but some were speaking about the temple, about how it was adorned with beautiful stones and gifts dedicated to God. Now keep in mind, the temple in the Jewish tradition of the day was the place on earth where God dwells. This one spot is the holiest place on earth. The inner sanctum is even called the Holy of Holies. So it is natural that people would want to beautify it, to mark it as special with beautiful stones and gifts. And Jesus doesn't actually say that any of that is bad. He simply points out that even the temple itself is not permanent. That even the seat of God on earth will not last forever. That our ultimate faith needs to be not in the gifts and the stones, but in the one who creates and sustains all things. Now, of course, the disciples, being human like the rest of us, then go to the other extreme. Having been reminded that all things end, they then immediately want to know exactly how they will end and when this will happen and what the signs will be and how they can know for sure what is coming next and exactly when. So Jesus, perhaps with an inward or maybe even an outward sigh, gives them some reality. Things are going to happen. Some of those things will be bad. Sometimes there will be people who offer quick and easy answers. Just do this, whatever it is, and everything will be easy. Have faith in my thing, whether it's a religion or a community or a sports team or an exercise program or a person, and nothing will ever go wrong again. And Jesus says, don't follow those answers, they're a mirage. And he goes on, sometimes bad things will even happen to you because you are following me. Don't let that keep you from following me and from telling your story when you are challenged and asked why you live the way you live. But in general, don't worry about the ultimate end of all things. Just live and know that my love for you will never cease and that I will always be with you, no matter what. In other words, Jesus is trying to tell his disciples, one, to remember that nothing in life is permanent, and therefore nothing in life is as important as our relationship with God. And 2, to not worry too much about it and just live. This past summer and fall, I had the privilege of co-hosting a group of people who met each week on Zoom to study and reflect together using a program called Being With. In fact, I was lucky enough to have Susan Borchert and Brandon Medley as part of that group. The class is designed to engage with Christian mysteries in a way that allows participants to think and wonder and question together and to listen to each other's stories respectfully and deeply, while not making anyone feel that there is just one right answer that we all have to conform to unthinkingly. One of the first couple of sessions, and it was a 10-week series, so there were 10 sessions, but one of the first couple of them introduced the concepts of essence and existence using these words. There are 2 kinds of things, those that abide forever and those that last for a limited time. The things that abide forever we call essence. The things that last for a shorter period we call existence. Now the talk goes on to assert that most things with which we are familiar, humanity, our houses and cars and stuff, the earth itself, even the solar system, fall into that second category, existence. They do not last forever. Essence, which we call God, has always been and will always be. And the Christian proclamation is that in Jesus, God, that is essence, enters into existence for no other reason than to be with us. Not a hair on your head will perish. By your endurance you will gain your souls, Jesus says. Your ultimate selves, what makes you, you, will not be lost no matter what. That doesn't mean that all things are going to be easy. It does not mean that there will not be grief or pain or loss. This afternoon at the service that we'll do, we will remember and honor and mourn together some of that grief and pain and loss. But that grief, that pain and loss, which is so real, does not, Jesus says, have the final word. This world and our existence in it are not permanent. No matter how nice our buildings are, or how lovely our churches are, whether they have nice chairs and special cups and plates and napkins and clergy wearing fancy white dresses, it's all existence. It's all temporary. But God, the essence of all, abides. And God's love abides in us, and so we, in turn, abide in God. And so even though this world around us is, to use another biblical phrase, passing away, Jesus assures us that no part of us, not the tiniest part, not even a hair on our head, will be lost. Even when bad things happen, and they will, even when we don't know what to do, and there will be times when that happens, even when we feel like we have no good options, Jesus says we are still, even in those moments, held by God. And we will not be lost. When we allow ourselves to think about it, we know, much as we hate to admit it, that we ourselves, in this form and manner of existence, are temporary. We will one day die. But our faith proclaims that death is not the end for us. We are, each one of us, and all of us together, God's beloved. We are existential creatures, part of an existential creation, all of which is held and cherished by the essential who brought us into being for no other reason than love, than to be with us. And nothing, not even death, can stand in the way of God's essential love for us, for love for those we love for those who have died, and love for those of us, as in all of us, who will one day die. Even as we know this world is temporary, Jesus reminds us in the same time that we are loved, not just right now, not just in this moment, but always and no matter what.